Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack an intensely high-stakes topic, one that sits right at the absolute center of global trade, but honestly, kind of goes completely unnoticed until it's way too late. We're talking about safely packaging and shipping dangerous goods, and specifically, those seemingly invisible codes that literally keep the global supply chain from coming to a grinding, catastrophic halt.
Now, I want you to imagine a total nightmare scenario. You're shipping a multi-million-dollar container filled with, say, vital agricultural chemicals, or maybe thousands of high-end lithium batteries. It crosses the ocean, arrives at a bustling foreign port, and bam, it's immediately seized. Cargo grounded. And those massive storage fines? Yeah, they start racking up by the hour. Your client is absolutely furious, and the trust you built with them is completely destroyed. And the craziest part? The chemical itself is perfectly fine. Your paperwork is flawless, but the plastic jerry cans holding your product, they're missing a specific, mandatory line of text stamped right into the plastic.
So, it forces us to ask a pretty harsh but totally necessary question. Is your packaging truly ready for the global market? Or is it basically a ticking legal time bomb? Because in the world of dangerous goods, a missing certification isn't just some minor administrative oversight. It's a severe business and legal risk.
All right, here's the roadmap we're exploring today. The nightmare at the port, what exactly is the UN mark, decoding that mark, the torture tests, the ISO 9001 twist, and finally, your certification roadmap.
Part 1. The Nightmare at the Port. High stakes of non-compliance.
Look, if your packaging doesn't comply, shipping lines have the absolute right to just refuse to load your cargo. But let's say it somehow slips through, right? If it arrives at strict ports in places like the US, the EU, Japan, or Singapore, authorities there will not hesitate to seize the shipment. You're going to face massive storage fines. And it gets worse. If a non-compliant container actually leaks and causes an accident, your company is facing severe legal liability, massive compensation claims, and maybe even criminal charges depending on the jurisdiction. Really, one single incident is often all it takes to permanently destroy your commercial trust with international partners.
Moving on to Part 2. What is the UN mark? The global standard.
So, what actually is it? The UN mark is an internationally recognized certification symbol. When you see it printed directly onto a drum, or a box, or a jerry can, it acts as a guarantee that this specific packaging design has survived rigorous physical testing mandated by the United Nations. Now, these rules all originate from a foundational UN document that industry folks affectionately call the Orange Book. And what's super fascinating about this is that this single book acts as the global DNA for all the major transport codes. We're talking the IMDG code for maritime shipping, IATA for air freight, and ADR for European road transport. Put simply, no UN mark, no legal transport of dangerous goods. Period.
Part 3. Decoding the UN mark. The secret DNA sequence.
Now, what's really interesting here is that if you look closely at a certified container, you're going to see a string of text that looks exactly like this. And I promise you, this is not just some random serial number or meaningless factory jargon. No, to a trained port authority or a customs official, this is a highly specific technical identifier. They can read it instantly to verify if your cargo is packed legally. Let's strip away the confusion and decode this thing together. The first segment, like 1A1, tells us the exact physical packaging. The number 1 means it's a drum. The letter A signifies it's made of steel. And the final one, that means it has a closed head design. Then, moving along, we see the Y, which indicates the packing group danger level it's actually approved for. After that, we see test parameters, things like specific gravity or hydraulic pressure limits. Then you've got the year of manufacture, the country that certified it, like Vietnam in this example, and finally, the unique code of this certifying body.
Now, I really want to draw your attention specifically to those danger levels because, wow, this is where incredibly costly mistakes happen. Dangerous goods are split into 3 packing groups. Group I is the absolute highest danger, requiring an X code on the packaging. Group 2 is medium danger, requiring at least a Y. And Group 3 is the lowest, using a Z. Okay, so let's say you're shipping acetone, which is a flammable liquid classified as Group 2 danger. If you mistakenly buy containers with a Z mark, which remember is only legal for low-danger Group 3 items, that is a severe illegal mismatch. Even though your packaging technically has a UN mark, it is the wrong one, and your cargo is going to be halted immediately.
All right, Part 4. The torture tests. Drop and crush.
Listen, we aren't talking about fancy computer simulations here. This is brutal, real-world testing. Step 1 is the drop test from up to 1.8 meters straight onto solid ground. Ouch. Step 2 simulates a grueling 24-hour, 3-meter high crush in a rocking cargo ship.
Then, liquid containers face Step 3, a hydraulic pressure test to find their absolute bursting limits, followed closely by Step 4, an air pressure leak check. You know, it's actually incredibly ironic when you think about it. A multi-million-dollar chemical shipment relies entirely on a humble plastic can surviving this absolute physical beatdown.
Part 5. The ISO 9001 twist. The hidden prerequisite. So here's a major plot twist for you. Before you can even submit a single box or drum for UN mark testing, your business absolutely must have an active ISO 9001 quality management certification. And get this, not just newly acquired. Many certifying bodies actually require your ISO certification to have been active for a minimum of 6 months before you can even apply.
And you might be wondering, why? Well, it brilliantly illustrates a crucial point. There is a massive difference between passing a lab test with a single perfectly crafted prototype versus ensuring that the 500,000th mass-produced drum rolling off your assembly line is identically safe. Without a proven quality management system to, control raw materials, detect flaws, and standardize production, international authorities have literally zero guarantee that your mass production actually matches that golden prototype they tested in the lab. Having ISO 9001 proves you have that control.
Which brings us to Part 6, the certification roadmap, navigating the process.
Let's see how all of this builds into your actual timeline. Getting certified is typically a 4 to 12-week journey. Week 1, you're looking up your UN number to determine your exact packing group. Weeks 2 through 4 are all about document prep and validating that ISO status we just talked about. By weeks 5 and 6, you submit everything to globally recognized bodies, think TÜV-SÜD or SGS. Then comes the lab testing gauntlet in weeks 7 to 10. Survive that, in weeks 11 and 12, bring your official approval certificate, and crucially, your legal right to actually print the UN mark.
But hey, don't celebrate just yet, because your job isn't over once you have the certificate. This is absolutely a continuous journey. A UN mark generally requires renewal every 1 to 2 years. And here's the kicker. If you decide to change your packaging supplier or even tweak the thickness of the plastic slightly to save a few bucks, you must file for a brand new amendment. Sometimes that even requires full retesting. On top of that, your continuous ISO 9001 maintenance is strictly non-negotiable. If it lapses, your UN mark is heavily jeopardized. And keep in mind, the UN Orange Book updates its global rules every 2 years, so you really have to stay alert to any changes.
The global supply chain relies heavily on predictability, safety, and these super strict standards to just keep everything moving. Ignoring them doesn't save you time, it literally just invites disaster. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you pack dangerous goods for international export, ask yourself, are you packing safety or are you packing a massive legal liability? Because securing your UN mark, that is exactly how you secure your reputation and your entire business. All right, thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, and please, stay compliant out there.